Going to call the meeting to order of the Hubbardston Select Board at 6:32 according to my watch on Monday, February 9th, 2025. Reminder to everyone, it's being digitally recorded as always. Be respectful of everyone. Open meeting. I don't see anybody here, so unless anybody here has anything to bring up.
Take my pen.
Katie, go ahead if you would on the announcements.
All right, so February 14th, which is this coming up Saturday, is pie for breakfast. Chris. Oh, down to Chris. Pass that down to Chris, please. Pie for breakfast at the Senior Center. It's 9 to 11:30, and it's $10 a ticket. They're going to have a variety of pies to choose from, and they'll also have raffles and things like that. Super fun, because who doesn't want to eat pie for breakfast? Again, they'll have some savory ones, though. I know they will. They're not gonna. It's not just gonna be like sugar overload. But yeah, again, that's this Saturday from 9 to 11:30, $10 ticket, and that's at the Senior Center. On February 20th, the Lions are having a meat raffle at the Rod and Gun, and that is at 7 p.m. Again, that's February 20th. It's Friday, 7 p.m. The Lions monthly meat raffle is at the Rod and Gun. And then February 21st, the Rod and Gun is having a fishing derby. It's going to be at Bent/Sawyer Pond, depending on what you want to call it.
What's the first word? What's the first?
Fishing.
No. The first pond option?
Bents.
Bents.
Spell that.
B-E-N-T-S. Yep.
Bents.
Bents or?
Sawyer's Pond, depending on where, I know it as Bents. But it's technically Sawyer's Pond.
Across from Rieta.
Yeah, it's over by Rieta. Again, it's on February 21st. From 7 to 2, it's $25. Rod and Gun suggests to pre-register at the Rod and Gun in advance. If you can't, they will be accepting registration as of 5:30 a.m. because who doesn't want to go freeze your behind off on the pond? I'm not an ice fisherman, so.
You have to get there early, otherwise you're not gonna have
I'm
your
right
holes
there.
ready.
I get it.
It takes quite
There's-
a while. You have to set up.
No, you
set up
can't.
camp.
No, you can't do any holes. Like, you can't make any ice cuttings until at least 7. It says on the paper.
Yeah, but you have to at least set
There's
up your
rules.
gear.
I agree, and get your.
That
spot,
takes
whatever.
quite a while to do, and you gotta lug it out there.
Try it once.
Yeah, I'm good. No, I've done it. I'm good. I have a scar on my knee from ice fishing from a kid, from when I was a kid. So, again, that's February 21st. Rod and Gun ice fishing tournament on Sawyer/Bents Pond. $25. Pre-register. They have a lot of raffles and stuff going on too. So, but all the information you can go find at the Rod and Gun or their Facebook page, or give them a call. All right, that's all I got.
That's it?
Yep.
Thank you. Are there any other announcements or communications at this point from anyone? All right. Anyone here for open session? Okay. As far as I know, there's nothing under consent agenda.
No, nothing on the consent.
Okay, so we will jump over that. Go right to the new business. Finance update.
So I'm happy to provide a quick update. We continue to reconcile. Last week I did meet with Heather and Marcia, and we went over our submittal for Schedule A. This is one of our important documents that we have to submit to the Department of Revenue at the end of the fiscal year, so we were a little behind, but I'm glad to see that it's in. We have a number of reconciliations that we're working on. There were some fund balances that weren't quite completed at the end of FY25 that we have to build back up. She's through most of that. She's coming in tomorrow, and she's pulling the warrants from FY26. She can tick and tie all of the expenditures, and I have every confidence that we'll be able to get to reconciled balance shortly, and then we can start projecting to the end of the year and really trying to meet our fiduciary responsibilities. Now, as much as it's a little frustrating to be in this position. Really appreciate the fact that the board has taken steps to bring in a really renowned CPA, somebody that has expert knowledge in both municipal finance but also state finance. Marcia has worked for the state, so she knows exactly what we need to do. We do have some work to do with reconciling some accounts in Harper's, the town's payroll software system. We also are looking into bills from the Quabbin School District. There are a number of things that we have to work on with our new treasurer, but certainly everybody seems to be working together and looking forward to just collaborating.
Good.
Happy to answer any questions. Heather, anything that you want to?
The only thing I would add, Sean, is when we spoke with Marcia, there's a very high likelihood, if not a certainty, we're going to have to figure out a procurement option moving forward because she's already getting to the maximum number of hours. She consumed a lot more hours than we had all anticipated in that first scope of work. So I know Sean is on it and working with her and seeing what our procurement options are to be able to move forward to secure the assistance for the next 2 parts of the project.
What had we estimated as for the
Well,
hours?
because she gets paid $100 an hour,
Yeah.
right? So that's $10,000, or was that 100 hours? So, it's not that much time, but we didn't know the extent of the amount of work we were gonna need until someone dived in, or dove in, rather. So, and she has dove, right off the diving
Yeah,
board,
right off the
splash.
deep end.
So will the rate be the same?
I think that's likely the case, but
Okay.
we have to turn it over to Sean. He's gonna have to either figure out whether he has to go out for quotes, or if it could
I
be
had a
somehow.
conversation with Marcia last week. I think I'll have a recommendation for you at
Okay.
our meeting next Tuesday.
Okay.
But hopefully, we can keep her focused on just getting to the brass tacks and really helping to support the team. I think she's doing some good work, and I feel as though, you'll be looking at some updated reports for FY26 that will help you just see revenues and expenses monthly. This board should be reviewing those every month, and frankly, quarterly. That's when we really should have some strategic conversations about where we are and whether or not we have to make changes to meet budget. Those conversations are really critical.
Yep.
Okay.
So, Sean, is it your opinion that we're getting value from the money we're spending for this service?
Oh, yes, I think anytime that you can bring in an outside expert in municipal finance, I think you will be able to build some best practices. This is not just a matter of coming in and just making sure you can reconcile everything. She's going to come in and really identify a number of things that really can improve the internal controls. We're going to get into probably a bigger conversation about internal controls when we finish doing the reconciliation, but she's a CPA. She has the experience in the chair with many municipalities to really identify where things really need to be buckled up to ensure that the town doesn't have to go through this again. This is a situation really where we should be on to many, many more things. Hubbardston's in a great position right now financially, and frankly, it's unfortunate that we have to spend some time just reconciling the books and really building the internal control system up from ground zero. But we're going to do that and help the board get right on track with all the busy things that you should be dealing with.
So money well spent.
I think it's probably the best money you've spent in quite a while.
Thank you.
Sounds good. Okay. Anything else on the update? Anybody have questions? All right. Go to the FY27 budget format.
So I've shared with the board some information about a few different types of budget formats. In my experience, most municipalities, they are in a programmatic budget format where you're adding 1 or 2% a year, maybe 3% if you're lucky, 4%. We get a budget from the school department that's looking for 7.5%. It's programmatic. Here's our budget, here are the things that we do, and we want a cost of living increase, or we want an incremental increase. I don't think that kind of budget is always the best approach. I think every few years, or every once in a while, municipalities should pivot to a zero-based budget. This is a much different type of budget process. It requires a much more detailed format for building the budget. When I've looked at Hubbardston's budget that is presented to town meeting, it really is broken into supplies and services, and frankly, that doesn't give folks a great deal of insight into what are the nuts and bolts that really make up the must-haves and the nice-to-haves in a budget. I've met with all of the department heads and talked a little bit about the budget methodology and really the value of having a zero-based budget and building a budget out that really reflects the detail that I think a number of our department heads keep with their budgets. It's surprising how different they all are, but they all do keep a really tight budget that has much more line item detail than we have in the town budget. So a zero-based budget would give us the ability to really see more into the contractual obligations that each of the departments have, contractual obligations for collective bargaining agreements, cost items in those agreements, get more information in the line items, really help build that level of transparency, and really help identify where those structural issues may lie. There may be some things there that are just important for us to really understand, but also you may have some departments that really want to build more structure or more of a programmatic budget that is hard to do when you're just requesting 2 lines. That said, I wanted to get the board's support for that from a policy perspective. These are the type of changes that really can help improve municipal finance in our budget. When we're trying to reconcile, we've noticed that there is a disconnect between some budget items and the chart of accounts that Mass DOR requires municipalities to use in their accounting systems. And the thought is we can actually build line items that are tied to the chart of accounts. And when you have a budget that really can walk over to the accounting system, you help avoid the kind of confusion that I think a lot of department heads have expressed to me, that they're wondering how much money they have and whether things have been charged to the right account or charged to an account that was for another department that was similar. And so these are the kind of internal controls that really can help build your fiduciary discipline. I've used this format a few times. I don't recommend you use it every year, but for a couple of years, I think it will help build a real strong foundation for Hubbardston.
So you're recommending or asking us to, I don't know if it's a form of a motion or whatever, to go forward on that?
I think it would be helpful. I think
Zero base.
if the board, I think you've got to weigh the pros and cons. I think the zero-based budget is going to require more work, more information, more lines in the budget, probably more scrutiny by your finance committee, maybe even at town meeting, and so we have to be ready for more questions. I think your budget is pretty lean, and I would welcome more interest in the town budget. I think what we spend these limited dollars on are really important, but I also think there may be conversations about how we allocate every one of those nickels and dimes. I think it will give us a more insight into how we can be that much more careful. The pushback might be that, hey, it's a lot more work, and it just might not be, the juice may not be worth the squeeze, as some would say. Is that really, for a small town, the type of detailed budget that we should be focused on? And my position is absolutely. I think even more so for a small town. I think these budgets can be really helpful.
Anyone on the board have some questions or opinions on this?
I think zero-based budgets are fine. As Sean said, there's many different budget models you can go with, zero-based, level funded, level services, programmatic, which is kind of like level services. This is something I don't think we've tried in a while, and it probably doesn't hurt to give it a go. At least if nothing else, it kind of puts all of the departments on the same page saying, okay, we're kind of rehashing how we look at things, how we do it. We've already talked a lot with Sean and Marcia about just the chart of accounts. If you look at the current accounts the way they are, there's things that aren't in the proper coding. There's one that we talk about all the time. It's called employee support. And you can't actually tell because it depends on the department. And sometimes it doesn't even matter based on that it's either wages or services. But we follow specific coding rules and everything else in GASB, and you can't do that. You got to have either wages or services. So the whole point I'm trying to say is we're already looking at reworking the chart of accounts and looking at how people keep track of things moving forward. This isn't a bad exercise to give everyone the opportunity both to say, hey, this is what I'm actually spending in these categories, this is what it looks like, but also, hey, I know I've been asking for this forever because this is what I've always asked for, but you know what, to do this, I really need this. And it gives them the opportunity to make their case. And we don't usually give them that. We generally say, we can't afford it, we're not even gonna look at it, just give us this. This gives people an opportunity to at least to educate the public and educate us and finance committee of what they really need to provide the services to the town.
Yeah, I just asked to make sure that, seeing that we're asking a completely new way of doing things for the department heads, to make sure that they are well supported, because I do not want anyone to lose their minds over this. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
They've been doing it for a certain way for a very long time, and we just
I
need to
will
make
help.
sure that
Yeah.
they're fully
Yeah.
supported with help to do
Yeah.
this. Because some of them, right now it's snow season and Travis is up to his eyeballs.
I know.
So it's you can
Yeah,
only
I'm-
do so much in a day.
I'm gonna sit with the department heads with a big spreadsheet on a
Okay.
big monitor, and we're gonna build this budget as a team.
Okay.
And, we're gonna go through and we're gonna add that level of detail. To Heather's point, I really do think there's an opportunity for some of the department heads to really be advocates. I know, look, we have every community has limited funds, but their job is to, try to put a budget together that they believe will best meet the needs that they have. I always want a police chief, fire chief, and a public safety or DPW director who's a public safety official to ask for everything that they want to keep this community safe. And I think you do too. Whether or not we can afford everything, that's a different question. Maybe there are other ways that we can get to it, but at least seeing that and giving them the opportunity to come in and say, hey, build that budget. I think that puts us all on a better step, because there may be grants, there may be other things that we can identify that can help address those needs. But if it never gets down to paper and it never gets put into a conversation, I think there are a few chances that some of those lost opportunities are going to really ever get to an appropriation. That's it. I will take care of the department heads. I want to support them. I want to encourage them. I want to promote them. I want them to feel great about advocating for their departments. Of course, we'll have to kind of figure out how to make this FY27 budget work, but I think they respect that, we have a few, bigger challenges, but certainly I want them to feel like we're a team and we're all gonna put this budget together.
Going in this direction, I'm just curious if it has any relationship to or not. I read the auditor's report and all of their suggestions and the areas where they felt we were shortcoming. Will this address any of those items that they've recommended that we should deal with?
I do think, there are some recommendations there. A lot of the audit, in the management letter, we had a clean audit from the most part. I want to just point out that there were no material weaknesses.
Right.
So the town's really operating in good standards, but there were some concerns about tax commitments. Now, we have $1,000 in the budget for clearing up tax unreconciled discrepancies in prior year tax title. And we may have to spend a few more dollars if we really want to clean up some of those audit findings. That said, certainly most of those are operational practices. And so those just get back to having those audit findings presented to the board through the town administrator and really just clipping those off. Every one of those should be responded to in writing by the town administrator, and I will certainly do my best to send a letter to our auditors and make sure that the board understands. We expect to have as few comments from our auditors as possible. But the fact that we have those is good. I don't want anybody to think like, geez, that's a bad thing. Getting auditors to come in and help you figure out how you can be that much better is really important.
Yeah.
So.
I remember one jumped out at me, and I'm trying not to make a major mountain out of that, but their wording was, and it had to do with the senior center
Yeah.
in Claudia,
Yeah.
that it has to stop immediately.
It does.
Those were their
Yeah.
words. What
Yeah.
was, how that was to be doing.
So, look,
And that
this-
kind of, it shook my mind only because of the suggestion when we, years ago, had our problem with the treasurer having two accounts, et cetera, and the way she was doing her bookkeeping.
Yeah.
And that's not saying anything on Claudia,
No.
simply saying it just reminded me,
Yeah.
never have
The
do
world's
that,
changed.
you know?
The world's changed, and we've got to train staff and help them understand the risks associated with municipal finance and just making sure that people don't get tripped up.
Mhm.
These are, I think you have good people, and certainly sometimes with the best of intentions, folks might run afoul of some of these best practices and risk mitigation. We don't want to see our staff, with the best of intentions, trying to help do something wonderful, get caught up
Right.
in something that could cast aspersions.
Okay, so does this require a motion, or you just want us to say, go
I think if
ahead?
I get the consensus, it'd be great. If motion, if the board wants to lead the way, I'd love to see the board say, look, this is what we need right now, but I'm happy to.
Can I just offer one clarifying piece, Mr. Chair?
Yes,
Just the report that Sean's referencing, just in case anyone gets excited and is like, hey, I haven't seen the audit report yet. We haven't had an audit yet of FY25. This was 24. Sean
Yeah.
been working on.
right. Mhm.
With, we'll now refer to as the finance team, I guess, that now exists informally, right? And working with the finance team had reached out to connect with the auditors and get past audits and so forth, and this letter was one of those things that had come with 24. I'm not sure if it had ever circulated to the board.
I'd never seen it before.
So that's why, Sean was sharing it, and he thought it'd be very helpful with moving forward on these pieces. With that, Mr. Chairman, I'd be happy to make a motion if you're willing to accept one.
Yes,
I'd like to make a motion to support Sean's initiative to move forward with the zero-based budget direction for the FY27 budget year.
motion made
Second.
and second. Any questions or discussion? None? All in favor?
Aye.
Yes, opposed? Okay,
All
abstained.
right, thank you.
Thank you.
We'll get busy putting together the detail for that budget. Typically with a zero-based budget, you're looking at 5 years worth of actuals, and you're getting into a lot of the
You look way
expenditures.
too excited about this.
Look, I get excited about budgets because if you do budgets really well, you can typically do everything else really well. If you can't do budgets, you don't get a chance to do the other
Everything
things.
else.
I've just learned over the years, get your budget as tight as you can get it, and typically that's going to help you do all the other things that frankly are worth being excited about.
Thank you for that. And take the word budget, and here we go. FY27 Quabbin Regional Budget.
So excuse me, Mr. Chair.
Yes.
Would you like me to give you a quick update on this.
Yes, please.
So next Tuesday, we're going to be meeting with the superintendent. So in advance of that, I wanted to make sure the board had a chance to look at the draft FY27 Quabbin budget. This is an interesting report. Just a quick glance, this proposes a 7.5% increase over the prior fiscal year.
And that's their starting one?
That's their starting.
What's surprising about that is they've usually been in the double digits.
I told
Wait,
him
is that,
I'm like, what?
So-
It's not 14?
That almost hit what we could afford.
so Sean, just a quick question. So I'm sorry, I didn't read through the piece here. Is that 7.5% of their budget or 7.5% increase to our budget for them?
Their budget.
Okay,
So-
so that's a lot.
Oh, okay.
That's-
No, that's not the number, okay.
Yeah.
All
So,
right.
yeah. It's-
I got excited.
No, reality is gonna be past
Your
practice.
proportional share, could be much higher.
Oh,
It's always much higher.
yeah, I was gonna say.
You know, you're one of the larger communities, so you're gonna bear proportionally a bigger piece of the pie. That said, you know, it's important for us to kind of wrap our minds around this proposed budget and really start to think about this budget in great detail. This is really the most important financial impact on your fiscal trajectory.
60% of it.
In town, and frankly, you know, the school district's lost a significant amount of students over the last 20 years. You know, we saw a you know, reduction over the last 20 years of about 35% of students, over 1,000 students, in a district that's not that large. And so when we look at this, we want to just understand, you know, what else is changing in the district. Let's have the same detailed conversations that we would have with the police budget or fire department budget or, you know, a library budget. You know, all these services are critically important to the community. We all support education. We all want to see that district succeed, but it's important to just see categorically where have the increases, you know, been trending. You know, in each of the categorical pieces. Is it facilities? Is it administration? Is it, you know, student-teacher ratios? What are they? How have they changed? What does the contract call for? Are we close to the contract language, or is there room? And what are the choices that are being made among the 5 districts in terms of what's the right budget for this regional school district? Seems as though there's a missing municipal conversation in a municipal negotiation. I feel as though, you know, many of the conversations happening in each of the 5 communities are breaking apart the focus on how we can collectively advocate for fairness and equity as we deal with all the other municipal departments.
We have been trying to do that very thing for many, many years, to try to get the 5 communities to be one voice. Hasn't always been easy.
Or at all.
Or at all, yeah.
You know, there was a Super Bowl commercial about herding cats, and I would imagine it's similar to that. You know, it's just, look, you understand how difficult it is just to take care of one community, but I have worked with regional school districts previously as a town manager, and I have been able to pull together, with the help of the select board, municipal leaders, and really educate ourselves about, you know, the trend. I think a good dial-in, looking at 10 years worth of expenditures in key categories in the district, I think would help municipal officials, at least a couple of municipal officials, work with their boards and really come up with a regional position, perhaps even some good working relationship with the superintendent. We want to have a good working relationship with the superintendent, but we want to have a careful budget. You know, we don't want to see, you know, increases that are astronomical. We want to really get in there and really understand what would be what's the need? You know, tell us, and, you know, as we look at our levy capacity, as we, you know, look at, you know, a really diminished excess levy capacity, you're right at the razor's edge. And so these conversations have to be careful, because just to support rural core services, you're going to really need to ensure that this budget is as fair and balanced as it can be.
So just Katie, quick, we'll call it best guesstimate here. 25 to 26 was 3.56% increase, so that's double.
Wait a minute, what now?
So Quabbin's
Yeah.
increase.
Yeah.
Their current budget that they have on the table.
Yes.
And I will leave out my opinions at the moment in
Yeah, no,
time.
it is huge.
7.52% over last year's number. That's
Okay.
their number.
Their number. That's
Our
where I
number's
thought
always
our
huge
number.
in comparison to that number. But last year, their final number, I believe, came in at about 3.56% increase on their side.
Yes.
This is double that number.
Keep in mind, though,
We always play this game
we
where
do.
we're shooting at the stars.
Yes.
Because we can't possibly so
No,
this
you-
gets all of our blood pressure up, Sean,
begin
every
in the
time we
hole.
talk about the school.
We
Well, it
begin in the
also-
hole every day.
But it
every
also
year.
depends on who had assessments and who didn't, a reassessment, because then it makes all the numbers wonky. So there's always at least one or two towns that get hit, and that's what has a tendency to break us apart, so we can't, all 5 towns get on the same page, because some got a windfall and they came in at 3%, and others are staring down the barrel of 14.
Right.
So you have, it pits us against each other, which is very unfair. Years back, there was, I think when Dan was here, you guys were working on trying to get all the assessments to line up on the same year, which then COVID and everything went to hell.
Yeah.
And that never ended up panning out.
No.
So, but that would be one way to at least get the 5 towns so they're not pitted against each other.
Yeah.
But there's other ways as well. It just always, before this, the new superintendent is a lot more wanting to hear you out and work with you, where before it felt more adversarial.
It's unfortunate that it's like shopping for a car at times, and that's not the way this should be. It should be, they put a budget together that they truly believe they need, and they come in and they talk about why it's important. You know, we should look at the FTEs and see how it has changed over the last 10 years, and we should look at how the costs are being attributed to the districts. The issue about equalized valuation and you know, the different times different communities update their valuations, that has come up in the past, and as soon as people realize, like, it's not you have to get away from how that shifts. You all have an agreement, you all agreed that you're going to pay proportionally per student, but making sure you understand, like, how the districts, you know, how things are changing in terms of students that are coming in from out of the 5 districts. You know, you've got over 200 students there, and, you know, we're paying costs. Like, we want to see how these costs are actually being built into that budget, and how all of these communities are being asked to pay for that. I just think it would help to have a few members. I get a sense that there's probably at least one member of a select board or a finance committee from each of the 5 communities that would show up for a cup of coffee and a conversation around how we get a better handle on the Quabbin Regional School District's budget. And I think over the next couple of weeks, given the listening session that's going on, I think it would well serve the region to have Hubbardston lead that conversation.
And definitely, and this would be the time of the year to do it early on, before we get enmeshed in it, and that we're already in the hole.
Yeah.
So no, I would second that if that's something you want to pursue.
I'm happy to work with a few members. I just having a couple members of the board,
Absolutely,
you know,
yeah.
be available to really put together a slide deck and really just start showing, look, here's the trend. I mean, they've done a good job with giving us 20 years worth of student population, that October 1st report, head count, showing a 40% reduction in students. They should give the same report on the budget growth. By the way, that information's contained in Department of Education financial reports. We can pull that off the web tomorrow, and we can look at that and correlate it and try to figure out what's happening in the district that really is forcing these 7.5% increases.
Because Quabbin, their school committee, every year, pretty much every year that I can remember, most recent, they have a similar kind of a meeting where they invite all the 5 towns, school, select boards, etc., where they make a presentation up in their neck of the woods, if you will, on the budget that we're talking about. I mean, I've gone there with the last couple of town administrators, and you've attended it.
Yeah, I've attended when they do it
Yeah.
online, not.
And it's interesting, the last year, we were the only one of the 5 towns that our entire board showed up.
Oh, that? Okay, yeah, no, I was at
All budget related.
Yeah.
But we're
That was when
also,
they were changing
our
stuff.
reputation over the last 5 years has been we're the loudest too,
Yeah,
because
we're the noisy
we've
town.
been complaining the most, but I'm simply saying, I definitely feel that's a good effort and should try to be pursued, if for nothing else, for PR. Chris?
Somewhere in my mind, and I'm not sure where I heard it or if I misheard it, I think I heard that at the state level, the governor was going to more than double the amount of
Student needs.
$75.
student aid. Yeah.
Yeah.
So is that a fact, and are we taking that into consideration, and how does that impact this school budget, if at all?
Well, it's in here. I don't know if it's been passed yet, because that was a question I would have asked. If this is Quabbin, I bet they're counting on it, because they've got the $75 student rate. But I don't know if it's been passed by the legislature yet.
I
But
don't
the
know.
governor put that in, so.
But I think that's something we can, ask the superintendent about and really dial in.
Okay.
Typically, the budget will get finalized in June, and it's just important to kind of go through and try to see this budget as carefully as possible, make sure that we ask all of the budget questions first, and then we can go over to revenue, because their state aid, that can be a little bit of a sliding scale, but if we can get the budget growth to a reasonable standard, certainly that revenue conversation can be a little easier, because we don't have a lot of control aside from advocacy with our legislative delegation on what the state's gonna offer.
Okay.
Okay. Anything else on the regional budget meeting? Okay. And again, that's going to be a chief topic Tuesday, right? Yep.
We'll-
All right, under old business, personnel updates and appointments, building commissioner.
So-
Go ahead, Sean, if you.
Pleased to just report that Bob Garside has officially begun his tenure as Hubbardston's building commissioner. Bob was in today. I feel like Bob is a wealth of knowledge, and certainly has immediately started to really get a hold of some of the permits and outstanding issues. He's an experienced building commissioner, and we'll be able to do so much more than just help folks get their permits. He can help us with enforcement. He can also be a real good sounding board for the community development, land use department. So,
How long do we have him? Is it a couple of weeks, is it?
we have him,
I don't mean his business, but him personally on.
one day a week. It's my hope that you'll have him until he retires. You know, but we're going to go out to RFP over the next week, and we're going to solicit a response and hopefully engage him for a multi-year contract. I feel as though, given the size of the town, given the limited number of permits, a service contract for building commissioner services, inspectional services is a good value for the town.
So he's officially on board now?
He's
So
officially on board.
So Duffy is no longer, is that correct?
Duffy is still, you know, helping us to transition, but Duffy will soon be.
I had a friend of mine who didn't know if Duffy was still there or who they needed to deal with, so I'm just trying to clarify that
Is our
too.
building commissioner.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Having somebody, you know, just available, I haven't had a chance to sit with Duffy yet, but my thought was, having him available in the event that, we needed a backup. I think that would always
Mhm.
helpful.
He's always been willing to.
Yep. Having a good plan B always is a good thing to have.
Okay. Anything else on the building commissioner from anybody? Okay. Item 2, executive assistant.
So I am going to
Katie, you want to?
defer.
Yeah.
We
Both of
are
you?
still at it, and so
Yeah.
we have a few additional candidates that we're interviewing. I will defer to.
Bless you.
Update. Bless
Thank you.
All right, so,
In our
When I say
folder, you
we-
have these. so-
yeah, when I say we, I mean Mel and Leanne. We interviewed a couple of candidates today, and we will be interviewing a candidate on Thursday. Because we flipped it, and I'm doing first round because Peter's on vacation, and Peter will do second round next week. We will set it up for, I've already been in contact with Peter. I called him while he was on vacation and gave him the rundown of where we're at and what days was he available to set these up so we could set them up for next week. And hopefully we can come back with someone at our next meeting.
That's Tuesday.
No, yes.
Tuesday's our next meeting.
Yeah,
So
he's
you have
got,
it
we're
done by
gonna,
then?
we're gonna try to set them up for Tuesday, we'll see.
Oh, okay.
I make no guarantees. We don't wanna super rush things, but at the same time, we don't necessarily want things to linger either. We wanna put the right person in the spot that will be a long-term help. Sean's gonna give me a list of questions that he thinks are pertinent to asking. We already gave them Heather made a little test kind of thing that I handed out today.
Assessment center,
Yes,
yeah.
it's been an interesting round of
what did
interviews.
you
We're doing
hand
all
out?
kinds of different things.
What did I do? So Katie and I talked about, so one of the things, we're modifying, the board, as a board, we voted to modify the job description to include accounting piece. So this person is going to have a large responsibility to be able to essentially supplement whoever's doing our actual accounting work to be the day-to-day essential quasi-accountant, right? So the person someone's gonna go to and say, hey, can you look this up? They're gonna be entering all the bills initially, so attention to detail cannot be stressed enough. So what we actually did is we came up with an Excel sheet where they got to fill in like a sample warrant where they would actually have copies. We took some real-time bills. We gave them a very simplified pretend report of balances and account numbers and description of the account. And we said, okay, well, with these 4 bills, which account would you charge it to? Write out the account number, write out the costs, total everything at the bottom, and figure out what the total balance is on these things. So pretty simple piece, but the key is you have to be attentive to detail to nail it. And they had plenty of time to do it. They had to, they hand wrote it as opposed to using Excel, but we wanted to make sure that people whoever we get in this position can handle that level of attention to detail. Right now, we have a lot of things in our current books that are less attentive to detail. So we want to make sure moving forward that we get the right person for the job. And some things are hard to, like you can say, hey, how's it going? Thanks so much, Mike, for coming in today. Can you please give us 3 examples of how you're attentive to detail? Or
Here's a-
can you do this exercise?
Exactly.
Here's
And
your
that's-
test.
And that's the way I presented it. I said, we're looking to see where the learning curve is. And this is just sampled, there's no time limits, there's, you can use your phone for calculator, whatever, just, and this was after the interview. And when you're done, you come back out, so I just sat in the other room and shut the door and let them do their thing.
So is that part of the job description that actually is written out for people who are
Yes,
applying?
we modified.
So coming in, they knew they were,
Yes.
was something they,
Yeah.
So remember as
because that
a,
could really throw you if you came in for an interview and then
Yeah.
all of a sudden I got an accounting test I gotta
Yes,
take.
you got math.
but it's a very,
I
it's a
would
very
say it's not
basic
a
thing.
test, it's more of an assessment. And so
Just a
it's a
gauge.
simple
Yeah.
assessment activity.
Yeah.
Okay,
But it gives you a baseline. It's not, I mean, municipal accounting isn't the simplest thing, but it's something people can pick up, but you have to have the right base skills to be able to pick it up. And again, we don't need someone to know all the rules and everything else of accounting because we'll have someone who's in charge of that as quasi the department head. But we need someone who can enter in information accurately and consistently and be very attentive to detail. And that's something that, like I said, you can ask questions, but they sound weird when you ask them and the answers don't really give you any indication. So being able to give them a hands-on exercise to see if they can actually use skills to be able to do it, I think is very helpful.
good.
So yeah, so hopefully either we'll come back with possibly a recommendation on Tuesday, or we will come back with a recommendation that we need to put this back out and keep looking, so we'll get back to you. It's a work in progress.
Any questions, comments?
Yeah, I have
Go
a
ahead.
question. What was the reaction of the applicants when you handed them this test
Assessment.
Well,
assessment?
so we had it with the job description. We said, did you read the updated job description that we sent you? And they all said yes, which that was part of the email conversation back and forth, but we want to make sure they have it in paper that they can take with them. And then underneath it was the assessment, and I said, this is not a test. This is a exercise to see where your level is, where your base level is. So that way it's, we know where your learning curve is going to be. Very matter of fact, this is not a test, this is not a pass or fail, and I stressed it to them. There's no time limit. This is your first time seeing it, but we need to know where you are in order to move forward and what kind of training you're going to need.
Did all the applicants complete it?
Oh, yeah. And they all did very well.
There's only 2, but.
Yeah, there's only 2 today, but they did well. So it's not a rocket science thing, it's just putting the numbers in the right places and making sure your numbers are accurate. So, but yeah, they've had no problems and are glad to come back for a second round, whatever we need. So I will be working on scheduling that while Peter's on vacation for Peter. I have times that he's available, and we're gonna get this done, hopefully.
So now you're Peter's
I'm
clerical
Peter's,
service too?
yes. And Peter will sit with either, again, Leanne or Mel or both
Okay.
with a different round of questions. So again, they can see it second round with a different select board and see how we progress.
Okay,
Okay?
anything else? All right, thank you. Moving on, again, Memorial Day Committee appointments, again, over to you, Katie.
Okay, so Memorial Day is coming up very quickly, and some of our folks resigned that were kind of leading Memorial Day very strongly for the past few years. Claudia and Sue Brady resigned last year from the Memorial Day Committee. We still have Gary Kangas on there, and Nancy Rogan is on there, which is great, but that doesn't technically leave a quorum, or have a quorum at all. Lauren Wright is on there, but she resigned from being our Veterans Service agent. She doesn't live in town, so she has to be removed, because she isn't a technical person anymore that could be on the committee. So I kind of reached out to a few people. Stevie LaBelle is one of them, who happens to be the wife of one of the Purple Heart recipients in town. She said she'd be willing to come aboard. And then Taylor Wilkinson happened to walk in the door as I was talking about this, and she's like, yeah, so I have questions about the Memorial Day Committee, and is there an opening spot? Who's running this, and can I get on, basically? And I was like, yes, please. So both of those filled out the online application. And then I'm very reluctantly willing to pony myself up just to make sure it gets through to the end, because at this point there hasn't been any fundraising, and without fundraising you're not going to be able to afford the bands or anything like that. And the only way I can see to move forward with paying for that kind of stuff is using the special events account. So I'm willing to pony it, even though I swore up and down after the 250th I was never going to do a parade again. But yet, here we are, just willing to move forward to at least get something functioning and moving forward, because it is very much past the time of if this should have been started. There is a band that has been reaching out and willing to be in our parade, but if we don't start moving, we're not going to get anywhere. So the only way we can move forward is have a quorum, which we have 2 people willing to pony up along with myself to work with Nancy and Gary, who are there, and we can start moving forward. But we need these people appointed, and we need them to get sworn in so we can start moving around. We will not have a parade.
Good. Any questions?
Chris is like, as long as I don't have to do anything, I'm good.
Mr. Chairman, would you accept a motion?
Yeah, well, I have one question on that. But yes, can we do it all as one, or?
I'm on it.
Does Lauren have to be resigned?
I'm gonna put it all as one, sir.
Okay, yes, go ahead.
Okay. Mr. Chairman, I'd like to make a motion to appoint Taylor Wilkinson, Stevie LaBelle, Katie Young until June 30th, 2026 to the Memorial Day Committee, and remove Lauren Wright, effective immediately, from the Memorial Day Committee.
Motion's made.
Can I second myself? You guys.
Second.
I can't
Yeah, I know, he
second
gets
it,
it.
so.
Chris got it.
Made and second. Are there any questions or discussion on this? Okay, all in favor?
Yes.
Yes.
Opposed?
I'm gonna abstain, because I'm for myself.
And one abstention, so motion passed. All right. Next we go to the TA report.
All right, we've covered a few of these items, but we do have a conflict, as we discussed on February 27th, 7 p.m. The CONCOM is meeting, and they've had a meeting posted since January 7th. It is my recommendation that they use the upstairs conference room. Is that acceptable to the board? If so, I will notify the town clerk, and we will make that so. You know,
Are we okay on that?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, there's still the files upstairs,
Oh, well,
so. there's-
But the file's in Sean's room, you just lock Sean's
Can't
door.
lock the door, there's no lock on
On Sean's door, then you lock the file cabinet.
it. That's fine, I'm just saying, there's no lock on that door.
we
We
will,
can figure
okay.
that out.
Okay.
Figure it
we'll
out.
take care of the
Okay.
security. There are a number of things that we can do to ensure that that's not a
We can get a dog from like
I-
the junkyard, you know, they
What
just
you
have,
do, just
guard dog
Make
can't go
sure-
in this room.
make sure it happens.
have a Doberman sitting there.
Yeah.
All
I
right,
try to, I can have the chief do a detail.
Yeah, whatever.
so yes, Sean, we have the consent of the board. Okay.
All right, so we have we got a wonderful invitation from the principal of the Hubbardston Elementary School to do a Read Across America event on Friday, March 6th, from 9:15 to 9:45 a.m. If any of the select citizens here would like to join me and a few of the department heads and read to some of our young citizens, it's always a great opportunity to answer questions and to help talk a little bit about town government. That would be great.
I'd be happy to, yeah.
You know who does a really good job is the chief of police.
Look, the chief, the fire chief, the police chief, anybody that shows up with a big truck,
Yeah.
they all
And a
become,
uniform,
Yeah.
you know.
celebrities. But certainly, Jeff, thank you. I will let the principal know, and we can meet right over there and.
Yeah, usually it's from the fire department and chief will, from the
great.
police will usually do it too.
I do want to mention, last Tuesday, I was asked to attend the 48 Gardner Road building project. Jeff reached out, and both Jeff and Heather attended the meeting along with the police chief and fire chief, and Melody from town clerk's office. It's an interesting meeting. I have certainly served on a number of school building committees and that have built elementary schools and public safety complexes. I'm used to reviewing schedule, scope, and fee at almost every one of those meetings where there's a Gantt chart and we understand go, no-go decisions with project development. I was surprised to hear that we were at 90% of schematic. That's a technical term for project development. Really, at 90% of schematic, you're ready to kind of move into construction documents.
Until everybody started
Yeah.
talking.
And
yeah.
so, it's really important that we manage that project. And I say we, as the select board, these are things that, I think are important. I'd like to recommend that, we have a joint meeting with the building committee and just get everything.
I would love to see the
Kinda
schematic. I haven't seen it
get-
since October.
Well, now it's a new one. It's gonna be a
yeah.
new one because of all the
Yeah.
changes
So
from
we-
that meeting alone.
We did, I did share a few perspectives. For me, it's critically important that with such a small workforce, all of the municipal staff work together. I feel, frankly, having the town administrator's office up on the second floor is a huge miss for the synergies that could happen among your community and economic development department, your finance department. These are important daily contact points that you need to have synergized. Workflow is really important. We talk about workflow with public safety. Where's the bay? How do we book prisoners? How do we protect the public? Look, it's really important that we do that for municipal staff as well. Interesting in terms of the building. This is going to be town hall too, and thinking about what do meeting spaces look like for a 21st century town.
There needs to be more than one.
Certainly, we've got a number. We've got I think 13 bathrooms.
Nice.
We're
You have to walk through other areas to get to the bathrooms.
so we're trying to figure out space, and
That's
so
really changed, yeah.
it's really important. I think the good news is you've got a good team here. You've got a really good architect that wants to listen. I think we may have missed having a few meetings, but I think it's important to kind of tighten up the focus and really support this project as best we can. You've got a wonderful facility here. It does need some additional investments. You're in a good place to make those investments, but we have to get this design right. If you don't spend the time right now in schematic, you're going to pay
so much later.
10 times the cost, because you will bump into the problems in design, and that's where I hate to say it, but I've seen a lot of communities pay more money for that than they should have, and we've got to make sure that the process stops until we're comfortable. This is the town's future. So,
Did Carrie get a hold of you? Did she reach out?
She did.
Okay.
I had it on the following night, the meeting.
Oh, so you've been touched, okay.
Yes.
All right.
you were missed, yeah.
Mike went to his own meeting.
I know.
Yeah,
Right.
he has his own personal meeting.
I was just curious, I just,
You had 100% agreement though, didn't you? Unanimous
Absolutely.
consent?
Yeah.
All right. So, I also, given the change with the budget format, I think it would be helpful for us to take a look at the FY26 town meeting schedule and revise that. I know you first got that FY27 budget schedule back in October, but for a meeting next Tuesday, I'd like to go over a revised schedule with dates that kind of back into town meeting.
Yeah, matter of fact, Mel had reached out to us with an email about what date,
Yeah.
Yeah,
because she just needed it for her own,
yeah.
for the warrants, et cetera.
And so I'll send out a revised calendar the next day or two and just get the board's feedback on that.
Okay.
All right, that's my report.
Any questions or comments on the report?
Thanks, Sean.
Yes, thank you.
Yes, thank you.
I know.
I'm trying to get into some routines.
Yes.
I know, I think we all have our comfort level. I do expect that department heads will be sending me updates as well and helping us all just appreciate some of the work that they're doing. I want to thank the highway department. They certainly have been busy with keeping the town safe. It's impressive to me, to see the roads in town. I've traveled through quite a few to get here, and I think Hubbardston is actually well supported by a group of individuals that care about the quality work that they do. Travis certainly is, the Mike Vrabel of highway department leaders. Your police and fire departments are out keeping everybody safe as well, and these are difficult environments for individuals to be outside, and the town's fortunate to have it. Melody went to a clerk's training this week, and talked to her today. She met a number of individuals. It's always great to get to regional training programs. No one from the town staff went to the MMA this year. That's a huge miss. I think the board should be there. I think town staff should be there. They should go at least once every 2 or 3 years. You have so many opportunities to learn and to bump into colleagues and be inspired by them, but also share a little bit of your knowledge, but just network. So we're gonna try to figure out how to put some focus on training in the budget.
All right. All right, our next meeting, but is that just a typo that's it says date and there's a 9 after it?
Oh, I think that's the next item on the agenda, number 9.
Oh,
I
item
think
9, okay.
I think it's just an enter
I
box
got you.
problem.
Our next meeting date is Tuesday, what is,
The 17th.
17th, okay?
At 6:30, right?
Okay.
Still
At 6:30.
same time.
2 days after Valentine's Day.
2/17/26 at 6:30. Okay, we will be moving into executive session. Yes, Mike?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Mike Stahl, 5 Lombard Road. I was wondering if you'd have an opportunity to just explain a number of executive sessions that have occurred over about the last 6 months, and one within the last 60 to 90 days talked about the debate for whether or not the minutes can be released yet. And this is another one. This one happens to say that there's one date, August 4th, but as I mentioned 60 or so days ago, there was one that listed actually 3, another executive session besides the August one in October and November.
We've taken care of those.
And so meeting minutes can be released or have been released?
Can I?
Yes, please.
Sure.
Yeah.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Great question, Mike. So, the board is required to go back and actually review and approve our executive sessions on a regular basis, just like our regular meeting minutes. We're a little bit behind because
There was a lot.
we've had some turnover, and
Sure.
lucky everyone is, or unlucky, I've been doing the minutes for both executive and regular, and I have to go back and tune things up. Periodically, the board is required to go back in and review executive session minutes and see if they can be released to the public. There's times where we're going to say, yes, we can absolutely release them, and there's going to be times where there's a reason that we don't want to release, right? Always
Sure.
the easiest example is you think of contract negotiations. If a contract is still open, like a collective bargaining agreement, the board's not going to be inclined to release it because
Understood.
it has those pieces. But there's still certain things that are always going to remain confidential. So at the last meeting, we had 3, or 2 meetings ago, we had 3 dates on there. There was an October, November, and August date for 2025. The board went in, we had 2 sets of the minutes. One set of minutes we had already approved, that was October. We approved it back in November. and then we had to approve the November date. We did that, but we determined not to release either of those minutes at this time because of the confidential nature of the subject matter. The August 4th meeting minutes, we didn't get a chance to approve yet because they weren't ready. We needed some outside assistance on preparing those. We finally have those this evening. So tonight, the goal is to approve them and then to determine whether or not the board wishes to release them.
Thank you.
You're all set? Okay.
I'm all set.
All
Thank
right.
you, Mr. Chair.
So we will be moving into executive session, and at the end of the executive session, we will not be coming back into open meeting. We will adjourn for the night. We're going in, we'll have a motion to go into executive session pursuant to General Law, Chapter 30A, Section 21A, Item 7, to comply with or act under the authority of any general or special law or federal grant in aid requirements. The Select Board will convene an executive session for the purpose of reviewing the minutes from the following executive sessions, all of which were convened pursuant to General Law, Chapter 30A, Section 21A, 1, to hear complaints against a public official. The board will determine whether the purposes for such executive sessions have resolved and whether any of the minutes may be released with or without redactions under the public records law.
So moved.
Motion is made and
Second.
second. It's a roll call vote. Katie?
Aye.
Heather?
Aye.
Chris?
Yes.
Jeff? Yes. We're now into executive session.